Okay.
And I'll go ahead and get rolling because I know that everybody's got a bunch of stuff to get to. And again, always we got to, you know, for the purposes of this, it's nice to have a little short idea just to share with everybody and maybe have you give you something that you can take with you now and moving forward. And so this week, I'm gonna get right into it. I actually was going to share something completely different and then decided to just change it completely based on a conversation that I had with one of my newer agents, just talking about, you know, how in my conversations can I get from great conversation, they definitely know, like, and trust me, or at least I'm pretty sure that they know, like, and trust me. How do I move that from a relational conversation into a real estate focused conversation? It got me thinking really hard. And I think one of the things that a lot of us, and stop me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of us are addicted to a word, and that word is yes. We want to hear somebody agree to something. We want to hear that confirmation of, yes, we are doing a good job. Yes, we are on the same page. Yes, I do actually have an active need to buy or sell. I think that right now, more than ever, it's a time for us to reassess the way in which we have conversations with either prospective or current clients. So I know that that seems very, very strange, very obtuse, but humor me for the next 10 or 15 minutes while we look through this. All right. So what I'm saying is, let's stop trying to find the yes in our conversations. Now we all know that yeses, now correct me if I'm wrong, yeses are a subsequent evolution of a bunch of questions, right? You never get a yes right off the bat, right? You don't ever get the real yes. You get the theoretical or the farcical yes. Are you thinking about, are you interested in what your home's value is worth? Yeah. Okay, well, why? You don't get the real yes. You don't get the actual final motivation. What you do is you just kick the can down the road in that quest for yes. So what I'm saying is that right now, even if, let's say we've got the second half of the year, we don't have the second half of the year, that's been done and dusted. We're almost into the final 3 months of the year, 4 months of the year, right? So now what I would put to everybody is, just at the minimum, humor me on this quest or this contest within yourself to stop trying to get people to say yes and actually start getting people to say no. And I know that that's kind of counterintuitive, but I'll tell you the difference between. There's a big world out there, and there's a whole lot of realtors doing stupid stuff. Can we all agree about that just for a minute? What if we took a 2-degree shift and we tried to get in front of the main objections that our clients are facing on a day-to-day, or the worries or the uncertainties that they're having, and flip the script on trying to get them to say yes? Because how many decisions does a human being make in a day? I'll answer that for you. Somewhere between 40 and 50,000 decisions. Getting people to say yes about something that they may not necessarily want to do. Like, for example, call somebody on the telephone. Hey, you got a minute to talk? Yes, but do I want to talk with you? Is the answer. They could technically say yes, but the yes isn't the yes that we want. So what I want us to do is right now, just give yourself an activity, if nothing else. And if it doesn't help you grow your business or create quicker and more binding relationships, then I'll eat my hat, okay? But give it a shot for the next 30 days or so, 60 days. Whatever it may be. Let's try and get a calculated no. And what does a calculated no really mean, right? It's winning the conversation before it even starts. How many times would somebody say, hey, is there anybody, do you know anyone that's thinking about buying or selling real estate? Well, the answer is either going to be yes, absolutely yes. And how many times is that going to actually happen? 1 out of 40 max. What if we started that conversation with that person and that person's perspective in mind? Meaning meeting our clients and our potential future clients where they are before they've even had a chance to take you for a ride on their situation, their day, their week, their month, their friend, or this other person taking you on this ride that may or may not ever get any place, but back where you started. How do we start where they are? And what that looks like is winning the conversation before it even starts means, and meeting the client where they are already before they drive you all over the place, simply means looking at it from the perspective of, if I was going to be asked that question of, are you looking for anyone that's looking to buy or sell real estate right now? I would either have nothing but time or I would have no time. And my answer is going to be very binary, yes or no. What if we turned it around on itself, and either one of two ways? You could look at it this way, listen, I think that this is a very interesting point, whatever it might be. If somebody says, how's the market? Well, that's a very interesting question. It depends on what part of the market that you're looking or most curious about. Is it buying, selling, investing, or renting? Because my answer for that really is 10 different ways. It could take 10 different forms based on, well, tell me what you're most interested in, right? That's a more substantive conversation. But going the next step with that, that's where we go, okay, well, how do I really turn this into a much more substantive conversation than just, oh, that was nice, but we get left at the altar because we had a fun conversation. We answered some of their questions, and then now they don't really need us. They're going to go on about their day. They got kind of what they wanted, unless there is a real intrinsic need, right? To either buy, sell, invest, or rent. What if the follow-up to that would be, well, it really sounds like you're interested in figuring out what the value your home is worth, because you've very clearly talked to us about whatever it might be, your need for more space, a bigger backyard, you're thinking about growing a family, you've owned that house for 12 years and you just are really ready for a change to a different side of town, this, that, or the other, you're looking for this. So tell me something. Are you against sitting down and really getting down to the nitty-gritty on what your needs and goals and wants are, to figure out how we can chart a path forward for you to accomplish every single thing on your list? And would it be ridiculous for me to request 15 or 20 minutes of your time for us to sit down in person to go over that? Now think about what the response for that is. That's 2 no's, which are in fact the shortcut to what you're really trying to accomplish. Okay, I'm going to go over it again. Again, instead of saying like, would you be open to, well, I don't know, maybe would Thursday or would Friday be better for you? Or the old school methods of, just would you be open to doing this? Or would you like a free CMA? I'm doing those. Those are great, but what if we said, are you against taking this conversation a little bit further to further explore your needs and wants, because you've very clearly explored all of these different options because we've already talked about them, whatever they may be. And would it be ridiculous for us to sit down and have 15 or 20 minutes to dive into how a plan would look for you to get what it is that you're saying that you do in fact want. You see how that works in the way of that's a much more telling answer from a human psychology standpoint to get somebody to say, well, no, I'm not against that. That's fine. No, why would it be ridiculous? No, it's not ridiculous at all. Sure, absolutely. Let's meet. Let's figure out how to go forward and dive into what it is that really is on their minds. Rather than trying to pry a yes out of someone, let's win the conversation before it starts by understanding that the words that we use determine the quality of the answers that we get. Of course, you have to be asking the question in the first place in order to get an answer, but the words that we use are the one thing that we can really control. And if we up the quality of that, that puts us in the position to be able to help more people in a less confrontational way, right? Sometimes I know that a lot of folks feel compelled by trying to be, the key word, they're trying to be more conversational, more calm, cool, collected. That's great. Calm, cool, and collected comes from knowing the answers to questions that may be asked to you, but calm, cool, and collected also comes from knowledge and the ability to understand that you are here to help, but you are calculated in your approach. It's not to say that you're trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, because you're not. This is just how the mind works. And this could potentially, if, for example, if it benefits 2 or 3 other conversations that you're going to have in the coming weeks, days, well, then it's a win for you. And if it helps take the onus or the burden off of you to try and work hard to get folks on the same page as you, maybe the fact is we need to both disarm ourselves and others through not trying to yank a yes out of someone, but to just expose how sensible this proposal may actually be, whether it's a CMA, whether it's a potential buyer that wants to look at the market, and rather than trying to drag the process out, what if we just met them there? What if we tried to meet that person right where they were based on the information that we already had, and help them understand, no, it's really not crazy. No, I wouldn't be against that. That helps us move forward without burdening the other side with an extra decision. You don't have to make it harder than it actually is. And so let's see 4 things. Let's try and say 4 things, really, for the rest of this year to implement this different conversation style, let's call it. Let's call it a different way to approach conversations with our clients to help improve not just our lead generation capability, but our lead conversion capability. And also, too, it can help us create relationships in double time. The first thing that you got to do is you got to redesign your game plan. Because I know, trying to say I'm going to look for ways to reposition the questions that I ask to get somebody to tell me no on purpose, that's a different thing that we have to unhook our brains from. And that takes time. Resetting habits, resetting anything takes a very long time, and it takes a lot of repetition. So what we need to do is really sit down and look at and think, what are the questions that I am currently asking? And if I don't have a list of questions that I can fall back on and have, so that I can be calm, cool, and collected and not fumbling for my words or trying to understand or trying to figure out what it is that's in my head. Ooh, what do I need to ask next? And you can't unlock your brain and actually listen to the other side. Well, if we don't have that in place, well, then let's just make a game plan to start with, but let's put it with the end goal in mind. It's meeting the client where they are. If you need help with that, I am happy to assist. But it really starts with focusing around both of those lead-in phrases, rather than the traditional who, what, where, why, tell me about kind of questions that are in fact open-ended, but those are further on down the road. Getting someone to at least accept the possibility of moving things forward with you, it starts with getting the small calculated no. And really what that starts with is, are you against whatever the immediate need is that they've identified? Are you against getting together, sitting down, having coffee? Or is it ridiculous of me to just say, and stop you right here, that it really seems like you need some help with looking at what the current value of your grandmother's house or your house, or it really, is it ridiculous of me to ask that we sit down and talk for 15 or 20 minutes in a more professional setting where we can actually talk business about the value of your home? Are you against, or is it ridiculous of me to ask for a positive solution for the both of us to go forward, but it's also an invitation to move the relationship and the business forward? Either redesign your game plan or make one in the first place. If you don't have a list of 15 to 20 questions that you can rattle off without even thinking, then we need to have the list of 15 to 20 questions that you can rattle off without even thinking. But they really need to be honed in by trying to get at calculated no. And the second thing, you're going to laugh, but I'm going to say smile. And what that means is there's a lot of times that we're thinking really hard. There's a lot of times in our business where we are thinking and working very, very hard. Did you know that that actually inhibits your brain's ability to function? Your cognitive function drops by almost 20% when you frown or scowl or do your eyes like that. Try and smile, even if it's just keeping your teeth apart during a difficult conversation. That's harder to quantify, and I like quantifiable things, but try it. If we're going to do an experiment, let's try these 4 things, okay? The next one is counting your no's. Whether it's in a conversation, and it's calculated no's, not just, are you interested in buying or selling? No, and then putting that one down. Don't do that. That's not where we're going for. Today is about upping the quality of our conversations, not the quantity. It's also about upping the ability for us to unhook ourselves from our very ingrained habits and saying, I'm going to go for something just a little bit different, and I'm going to try and help be a difference maker as a result of that. Count your very, very, very quantitative calculated no's. Getting people to agree that, no, well, that's actually not a bad idea. No, that's not a bad idea. No, that's not terrible. That's not. Those are the types of no's that we need to have to be able to qualitate our quantitative number. And I say track your results because that's redundant a little bit, but tracking your results versus your results before. And if you're not already tracking the results of the conversations that you're having, I challenge you to do so. Whether it's a little notebook like so, whether it's notes in your phone, whether it's on a sticky pad, whether it's in your CRM, ideally, it would be in your CRM, just notes with conversations that you're having. Whatever it is, get in the habit of putting all that stuff down on paper. If nothing else, it helps the reticular activating system log that information for long-term memory. There's a benefit to that even psychologists can't deny, that doing it, then doing it again, in terms of logging and tracking, it benefits you not only in the short term, but in the long run. So there's 4 things. And finally, how to implement that plan is how do I have those conversations to where I can get the no's? Okay, let's start first. Your existing client base. Throughout that transaction, there are 3 cut and dried points of contact for you to be able to, either on the buyer side or the seller side, to be able to have the conversation of asking for follow-up for a referral during a deal. The first one's obvious. It's as soon as you sign the contract. One is, are you against letting everybody that's in your circle know if they're thinking of buying or selling a house either in 2020 or 2021 to give me a call? Or 2, would it be ridiculous for me to ask of you, is there anybody that you know that's thinking of buying or selling in 2021? The second time, whether it's either at the clear to close mark, or if it's at the end of the inspection period, or if it's just when the repairs all get done, kind of right at the end of a fairly stressful point in time. Listen, we got all this stuff done. Again, ask if there's anybody that's in their sphere that they would consider forwarding you their information or talking to about if they're considering buying or selling a home in 2020 or 2021. And the final is the easiest one. It's at the closing date. This is great. And then again, are you against, or would it be crazy for me to ask that is there anybody that you know of that's thinking of buying or selling in 2020 or 2021? There's 3 times during a deal that you can ask legitimately on that high of having a successful, stressful, smooth even. Doesn't even have to have problems involved with it. And what if it's just the smoothest thing ever? You know what? This is amazing. Okay, well, I mean, are you against thinking through who you know that is thinking about buying or selling? Or would it be ridiculous of me again to ask? Just know there's 3 times during every single transaction that we can implement that plan and implement it. And the next one is social proof social media. So now, again, this is a little bit more intricate, but what it is, in fact, what it can help with is that it will up your capability of having interaction. Again, it centers around video, and I won't dwell on it too long, but social proof social media, essentially what we're talking about is having people give you testimonials or interviews, so to speak, on social media, or having people post on your behalf and tag you in the process. Social proof is the number one thing that we can really do for ourselves to 5x, 10x, 20x our reach with other people, because it allows you to then say, listen, we had a great transaction. Would you be open to coming on and doing a little short video? Again, if they are not willing to do it, that's fine, but you can still have written testimonials, written recommendations from folks with the permission to identify that person and have them then share that on their page by whatever medium that might be, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, email even, to be able to share that with another database that allows you to broaden your reach and to be identified as that person that helped that person do a successful transaction. And the third is really live in the market, and living in the market means living in the market data. You know, I said that cool, calm, and collected in a conversation really means that you know what you're doing and you know what you're talking about. If we don't really know the numbers, we can't articulate the impact that somebody that is very unsure about their home's value dropping in the last 2 years or 6 months or just post current COVID, or that they're out there looking in the marketplace thinking that they're going to get a deal because they had some person that told them that, you know, every house is going to be foreclosed on in the next 6 weeks. So they're not going to even look right now, or they're not going to make an educated offer because they got bad information. If we don't live in that market, if we don't live in the numbers, the truth, well, then we can't have a substantive conversation, but also too, we can't have a calm, cool, collected conversation that ultimately gets someplace. We got to live in the numbers. And the final one is we have to just share our ideas. We have to share our worth. It should really say share our value. And what that means is I think that there's an opportunity here for us to, even if it's once a week, even if it's once a month, it's better than nothing at all. It's sharing, whether it's via phone calls, whether it's via email marketing, whether it's like a newsletter, for example. There's great options that you can utilize in the resource center, or you can just make something up on your own, or you can have any of us help you with a templated design that you can then send out on a regular basis for an email marketing, either a market update or a here's what's happening around town, or anything, or even a social media campaign, whether it's Mondays are for marketing tips, or Wednesdays are for, you know, food, or Friday is just whatever it might be. It's the sky's the limit here, but really what we got to do is have all of these tools in our toolbox to be able to share out, to give away the value that really is living inside of a professional's brain. And then to go do it. I mean it by implement. And why? It's because right now there's all these hacks and shortcuts. This isn't a hack. This is a tweak. This is turning our conversations in a different direction to have more productive conversations, which in turn means we're going to have more conversations. This isn't a shortcut. This is an edit of the way that we have conversations. And it's about understanding that controlling our conversations controls not only our future, but it also allows us to be empathetic to other folks' situations. It unlocks your capability to be able to have better, deeper, more real conversations. And it makes establishing trust simpler. It really does, because you're not coming at them with the same old stuff. And now more than ever, the relationship is the thing that really is going to drive your success, not only today, tomorrow, but on into the future. With that, I mean, I'm going to give myself permission to shut up. Does anybody have any comments, questions, anything for clarification, any other thoughts that they want to share? Not all at once. Okay. You guys have a great day. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come here and hang with me for just a little bit. I hope that you found this useful, and I will talk with all of you shortly. Okay?
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks a bunch. Y'all have a great rest of the day.
Bye. You too.
Thanks, Richard.